Okay, so a very good evening to all, one and all. I hope am I audible?
All right, Pravesh, we have the host. Host will introduce you.
Sorry.
Mm,
Uh, uh, we have Tamanna will give the introduction.
Okay,
Introduce.
okay. Sure, sure.
yes. Okay. So, hello everybody. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome back to day two of the International Workshop on Forensic Psychology and Crime Investigation. I am Tamanna Yasmin, and I am thrilled to continue this fascinating journey with all of you. Yesterday, we got an incredible glimpse into how forensic psychology intersects with crime investigations, and I can't wait to dive deeper into today's sessions alongside all of you. Looking back at day one, we explored the foundational role of forensic psychology in solving crimes. Ms. Sweta Sadnandan Topil introduced us to key concepts, and Mohammad Miraz Hussain guided us through psychological assessments and behavioral analysis. One of the highlights of yesterday was how both speakers used recent real world cases like the Chris Watts case and the Burari family tragedy to show the robust application of forensic psychology and in crime solving. These examples drove home how the discussed methods can significantly affect investigations. I know we're all eager to learn more today and see how forensic tools come into play in real world situations. Of course, we'll conclude the day with our interactive Q&A session to get ready to engage and clarify any lingering questions. Before we begin, here are a few ground rules for today. Please mute your microphones when not speaking to avoid background noise. You can use the chat box to ask questions during the sessions, and we'll address them in the Q&A segment. Next one is respect everyone's contributions. Let's create an open and supportive environment and turn on your cameras if possible throughout the session. It's always great to see everyone's faces. And we'll share a Google Form link in the chat box and also on the WhatsApp group soon. Please fill that in. It helps us gather feedback and ensure quality enhancement. And lastly, stick to the schedule as much as possible and be mindful of time during discussions. With that, let's jump right in. Today, we kick off this session with Mr. Pravesh Charan Isai, Junior Scientific Officer at the Center of Excellence in Investigative and Forensic Psychology at NFSU. He'll introduce us to critical forensic tools such as polygraphs, facial coding, and BEOS profiling, all of which are crucial for modern criminal investigations. Mr. Pravesh, the floor is all yours. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful introduction. And once again, good evening, one and all present over here. I welcome you all to this second day of this international workshop on forensic psychology and crime investigation. So if you guys have attended, that is for sure you guys have attended yesterday's session as well, which was been given by Ms. Shweta as well as Mr. Miraz. They have give you the insights about what forensic psychology is all about, how forensic psychologist role is going to be and how they contribute themselves into the legal aspect scenario. That means how they give their expert testimonies. Today, continuing with the same concept, what Shweta and Miraz has given, taking those references into the consideration. Today, I'll be talking about the different set of tools and techniques which is being used in the forensic psychology investigation. Okay, so let's get start with the day two of today's workshop. Okay, so before starting with the session, there's just one thing I just wanted to tell you about. When we talk about forensic psychology, right? Most of you guys know about what psychology is all about. Psychology is all about understanding the behavioral pattern of the individual. That means it's the study of the mind. So that means what is going inside the mind of that individual, that is something which is in particular that needs to be assessed. But that assessment needs to be carried out with respect to, what should I say? the intent, and interconnecting with the tools and techniques which is being used in the forensic psychology. Okay, so let's get started with today's session. Okay, so whenever we talk about the psychology, or let's say the psychological evidences, there is something that you need to understand about the psychological evidences in the field of forensic psychology, or let's say the psychological investigation. It says that psychological evidence cannot be intimidated. I'll give you one example. When we visit a scene of crime, we actually, what we saw, there are different blood stains, there are different sets of evidence which has been there at the crime scene. Okay, due to some naturalistic condition, or with some intent of manipulation, the physical evidences get harmed, and it does not give you the desired results what you're expecting it. So okay, that is what the concept of physical evidences is. But when you talk about the psychological evidences, it is something which is being stored inside your head. Okay, it needs to be retrieved out, but how it needs to be retrieved out? By using certain psychological investigating techniques. So psychological evidences cannot be intimidated, it can be, and it cannot be forgotten. Okay, it sits there and waits to be detected. That means it sits there and it waits to be detected by using certain tools and techniques, preserved, evaluated, and explained by the forensic psychologist expert. In short, what I'm trying to say over here is, when you talk about forensic psychology, you're actually talking about with what sort of an intent that this person, now the person may be a criminal or a suspect, what intent it can be, the person might have committed the crime. So it's the intent what the forensic psychologist is capable of detecting with using certain tools and techniques. Okay. So I hope everyone knows about what forensic psychology is. Just to give you a one short definition about forensic psychology, it's the intersection between the psychology and law. That means how you're going to apply the psychological knowledge, aspects or principles into the legal setup, and all together it is what we called it as a forensic psychology. So this was all about the brief set of introduction, because I uh, you know what I'm trying to say over here is, Miraz and Shweta has already given you the valuable insights about this particular field, about this particular uh, you know uh, aspects about forensic psychology. So there is nothing to do, repeat the same set of information. Today I'll be just talking about what are the different set of tools, how it is to be used, etc., etc. Okay, so the first tool that I'm going to talk about is the polygraph. Polygraph, in a very simple words, I would say lie detector. Okay, the terminology lie detection test you might have heard in your recent times as well. And my question is for all of you. Okay, and guys, I expect you to be all, please be interactive. So anyone who would like to answer, according to you, is a polygraphy can be considered as a lie detection test? Yes or no? Simple yes or no. According to you, is polygraphy is a lie detector test or not? Yes. No. Okay. So it's like a 50-50 probability. Fair enough. Yes. Okay. So you guys can just give your answer. My question is polygraphy being considered as a lie detecting test or not? Yes or no? I'm not asking any sort of an explanation. Okay, you guys can drop down your answers in the chat box. We'll just I'll come later on to the section. Okay. So whenever we talk about the polygraphy machine, it is basically detecting your physiological responses. And what are the physiological responses? It has been mentioned over there in the PPT itself. It's the blood pressure, it's the pulse rate, it's the skin conductivity, and the rate of respiration. That means, let's say if I have committed the crime and I am giving a wrongful information, you're asking it. Okay. Again, I'm repeating, if I've committed a crime and you're asking me a question with respect to the crime that I'm actually been accused for, what will happen? My physiological arousal level will be higher, isn't it? So more the higher the physiological arousal level, more the chances the person is giving some wrongful answer to the question being asked by the forensic psychologist expert. So basically, when we talk about polygraph, it's an instrument which is being used to prove the truthfulness of the subject and measures and records the several physiological indices. Now, what are those physiological indices? As I've already discussed over there, a series and how the polygraphy is being performed, a series or let's say a set of questions being asked and you have to give a one word answer to it, which is yes or no. That's it. Okay, it's just a minute. Yeah, so basically a question being asked and you have to give a one word answer which can be either yes or no. That's it. So that is what lie detection test or let's say polygraphy is all about. As I said in the earlier session, in the earlier section, is polygraph considered to be as a lie detector or not? We'll see in the upcoming slides as well. Okay. What are the main objectives of conducting a polygraphy test? We need to understand on first prior basis to verify the veracity of the statements of the subject in all types of crime involved. You know, let's say if I'm the one who has been accused for a murdering two innocent people for no reason, with respect to that particular set of case, you will be designing the question. That is the first thing. Okay, before conducting the lie detecting test or let's say the polygraphy test, the first thing that we need to design, we need to take the interview of the subjects. So the first thing that we are going to do is to veracity of the statements of the subject in all types of crime involved. Plus we are also going to interview the investigating officer of the particular case in order to ask whether he or she was actually being engaged any sorts of crime previously or not. Okay, to replace the third degree method of interrogation in scientific manner. Those who are from India, okay, there's a concept that what most of the police officials says. I don't know about the Bangladesh, but in India, it's a very simple concept. Use the third degree method and extract out the truth. That is what they prefer to do so. But that is from my personal experience. Few years before I was giving training to the higher authority police officials. I'm telling you from my personal experience what happened to me. I was being instructed by my higher authority that whenever you train the police officials, your intent should always be that make them aware about the different tools that can be used for even the interrogation purpose. I'm not going to say as if for now from the forensic psychology investigating purpose, but let's say police, they do the interrogation. So there are different set of scientific tools that you can use. One of the persons straight away he said to me that, sir, there is no need to use this kind of technologies and everything. We simple have a one way old school technology with us, and that is the third degree torture. Now the third degree torture is kind of a big stick, and you continuously beat the hell out of the subject, okay, and extract out the truth. And in response to that, I said that in the court of law, when police the statement given by the subject in front of the police is not being considered as a one such valuable piece of information in the court of law. So remember one thing: no matter whatever the set of tools and techniques we administer, all the tools and techniques, the main agenda should always be there is no existence of third degree method should be used. Okay, so that is what the main purpose of this particular session is going to be by today itself. That is to replace the third degree method of interrogation in the scientific manner as well. To examine white collar crimes, economic offenders, cyber criminals, and other offenders. These are the few basic examples that I have given to you, but in a wholesome manner, you need to identify whether the person is giving a truthful information or not. Plus, what are the set of the crime that he or she is actually been accused? You need to identify whether his or her involvement is there or not as well. Okay. Last point, to corroborate the findings of the investigation. See, I'll tell you one thing very straightforward. Whatever we do in the psychological investigation is considered to be as a supporting evidence to the ongoing case investigation. Okay, that means there are certain pre-existing facts, and those pre-existing facts needs to be supported, needs to be validated through certain set of scientific tools and techniques as well. And polygraph is one of those. Okay, so this is what the objective of polygraph test is all about in the forensic psychological investigation. I personally feel these are the common objectives of every tools and techniques that is being used in the forensic psychological investigation. Okay, we'll talk about the basic principles of polygraph then. Okay, the polygraph examination is based on the principle of psychosomatic interaction of an individual. Okay, that means your response to a particular stimuli depends. Okay, and the response needs to be evaluated once we finish the test. Very simple example: someone likes biryani, right? If I present biryani in front of you all, okay, that is a kind of a stimulus that you reacted on a very positive side. But the moment I replace biryani with some other, what should I say, some kind of a salad that you don't even like it, okay, it is completely tasteless, what will happen? Your set of response to that particular stimuli will be nullified. So basically, the concept says about that, your stimulus should be designed in such a manner that it should trigger the person in order to give an answer. Okay, that can be in the form of yes or no in terms of polygraph. It means a change takes place in a person who continuously holds feeling, which manifest into the physiological changes. The example that I have given to you, and it's the explanation of this as well. Hence, it is the fear of the detection, not the guilt, which produce the measurable physiological responses. It's the fear of the detection. It's not the guilt. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is polygraph is basically considered as a technique which is used to identify deception. Okay, it is not telling you whether you are telling truth or not. It's not telling you a truth or not. So to answer to the question that whether the polygraph is considered to be as a lie detection test or not, so answer is no. So the principles of polygraph justifies that particular set of questions. Okay, you know when I started studying forensic psychology, that was the first question being asked by my teacher as well. How many of you says that? How many of you consider that polygraph is considered to be as a lie detector test? Even I was the one who raised my hand and says yes, it is a lie detector test. But we well down into the deep and in-depth explanation. It was the explanation that I'm giving it to you when I heard the same set of explanation during my college time. Yes, someone has raised their hands. You can please ask your question.
Thank you, sir. So my question is, you have already clarified that polygraph test and lie detection test are different. The polygraph is kind of like creating a rapporteur with the person I'm interrogating, like building a rapporteur in between the interviewer and the interviewee. And in case of lie detection, it has been conducted through a machinery process. Is it like that?
No. See, you talk about the rapporteur. So rapporteur needs to be established before conducting the polygraphy test. Okay. Once you develop the rapporteur, that means the rapport formation. In order to develop the rapport formation, once you develop that, first of all, the first thing that you need to do, you need to start extracting down the information, whatever the information that the subject is giving to us. Remember, there are three phases of forensic interview that we conduct. Okay, it's the pre-test interview where we need to have a one-to-one conversation with the subject, followed by the investigating officer, or vice versa. Preferably, we do the one-to-one interaction first with the investigating officer, followed by the subject. Okay, see, IO's version, or let's say the investigating officer's version, has a different theory. How this person has committed the crime. Subject's version is always going to be that I'm not the one who has actually committed the crime. So you need to testify those two set of version by using different set of tools and techniques. Polygraph itself, I'll tell you one additional information about polygraph. Polygraph itself has been divided into two different words: poly and graph. That means poly means many and graphs. When we talk about the graph, we are actually talking about the physiological responses. Okay. And the physiological responses are blood pressure, heart rate, and there are like many physiological responses, skin conductivity, rate of respiration, and many more. Okay. See, polygraphy is not a lie detector test. It is a technique which assess your physiological arousal level. If you're asking, if let's say I have given a consent that, I'm ready to conduct the polygraphy test on mine, and I know deep inside that, I have actually committed the crime. First thing,
Yeah.
the moment you start asking the questions, okay, related to the crime that I'm actually being accused for, what will happen? The physiological arousal level will increase. Okay, it says that more the spike, more the chances that the person is giving you a deceptive response. So in totality, you're not detecting the lie, you're actually just finding out whether the person has the involvement or not with respect to the crime that he's actually been accused for. So that is what the main concept is about the
Uh,
polygraphs.
oh, okay. I have another question regarding the differences between polygraph and lie detection. The In which test the question has been used as open-ended question?
Pre and post dependent.
I mean, the in the lie detection, we ask the open-ended question. Is it like that?
No,
I mean,
see, you're
in
mixing it. You're
polygraph,
mixing.
yeah.
No, no, no.
Okay, I'm just want to clarify about the method of questioning. Like, I know that what kind of a question I'm asking, and its answer will be yes or no, either yes or no, or what kind of a question which will provide a direct information. So, in polygraph, what sort of questioning is used, and in lie detection, what sort of? That was my question.
Okay. See, you're just compiling, you're interrelating polygraphy and lie detection. As I said, lie detection, there is nothing as such kind of a terminology in exist as per my knowledge. There's only a one
Oh,
set of tool, which is we called it as a polygraph. Okay.
okay,
You know, even in today's case investigation, whenever we receive a case request from any of the investigating agency, there is there is something been written. Guys, just a minute. No, I'm getting a phone call from my home. Just a minute.
sure.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about the interruption. Yeah, coming back to your question, you're actually saying that lie detection and polygraphy are two different things. No, polygraphy is a whole set kind of a different thing. Lie detection, it is just a layman terminology which has been given to this particular test. Even whenever we receive a case request for any of the investigating agency, what exactly happened is we are on the court order. It has been written lie detecting test. But during we finish the test and we present those set of facts in the court of law, the first thing that we justify that we are presenting those reports in the form of a polygraphy, and we justify that it is not a lie detection test. And I've already justified in this particular set of explanation as well. Okay, I hope this is clear to you.
Uh, uh, I think you have witnessed in a lot of movies. It has been shown. Like I can name some of the movies like Jolly
Mhm.
LL, or in the movie uh, Romeo Akbar Walter, and also in the movie uh, the murder case of the 10 years old girl. I forgot the name. Talwar, most probably. So in these three movies, whatever detection test has been shown, whether it is polygraph or lie detection.
It is a polygraph.
Okay, so there is nothing, no terminology like lie detection exists. I mean, in literal terms.
See, when I'll be proceeding in the next upcoming slides as well, you might be come across with one of the terminology called it as BEOS profiling. That is BEOS.
Okay, okay, okay.
That BEOS basically is been considered or named it as a brain mapping. Okay, so you might have also heard about a brain mapping test as well.
No,
So the
because
same thing goes. So the same thing goes with the
I'm
polygraph also.
yes, I'm actually confused because in the movies, the dialogue has been shown that we have used the lie detection test, but actually this is a polygraph test. So I was actually confused about the terminology. That's why I asked the question. Okay, thank you
Yes,
so much for the time.
sure, sure. I guess in the chat box we also have some queries. Let me just see. As shown in the movies, can pain help to deviate the polygraph test? So yeah, I'll answer to your question in the next slide. Okay, in the upcoming slide. So this is the question. You know, earlier days, whenever the in the earlier times when the polygraph was actually being introduced, it was the manual based version set of polygraph being used. Okay, now today's modern technology, with the advancement of technologies we have, basically we have a computerized based version polygraph. As you can see over here, the person who is sitting on the chair, underneath the chair there is also a mat being intact. Okay, now this mat itself has a minute sensor. So if you're trying to deviate, or trying to do any such kind of a body movement during the polygraph test is going on, the system will detect those sign of wrongful activity during the testing procedure. You might have seen this. There is a movie, you might have seen this thing in a movie called it as Raw. Okay, so the person was giving himself pain, and he somehow deviated uh, in the polygraphy test. Okay.
Yes, in the Romeo Akbar Walter movie,
Yes.
a certain pain has actually changed the graph.
Actually,
So there is a very little difference between the lie and the truth. That's what has been shown.
so the expected result was the person was about to come as deceptive, but he didn't come. Okay.
Yes,
Plus, it was the pain factor which countermeasure the technique as well, we countermeasure the results as well. But in today's set of polygraphy tools and techniques we now have the computerized based version polygraph. So everything has been automated. Once we finish the test, the automated generate results comes, and then we do the final interpretation and analysis as well. So let's talk about the instrumentation perspective of polygraphy. Basically, pneumograph tubes. Basically, it measures your respiratory tract. Okay, there are two set of pneumograph tubes, pipeline kind of a tube-like structure, which is being placed on your upper abdomen and your lower abdomen. Blood pressure cuff, the simple blood pressure cuff we have. Galvanograph, which is basically we called it as a skin conductivity resistance, that is GSR, galvanic skin response. Plethysmograph is basically as a transducer, which is being placed at the thumb. It measures your blood volume reflecting pulse rate. So your pulse rate assessment can also be assessed. Okay. Also, most of us, we have the pulse oximeter. That pulse oximeter is also being placed on the subject finger as well. So there are like additional sensors being intact. Plus, the most important sensors that I have talked about is the mat, which is being placed on the seat, and then afterwards the person has to sit. So if he is trying to do any such kind of a wrongful, activity during the ongoing test, there itself he'll be caught. Okay. Now, what are the set of questionnaires being asked during the polygraphy test? Okay. Relevant and irrelevant questions. Relevant means with this something being targeted with the crime that the person is actually being accused for. Same thing goes with the irrelevant set of questions as well, which has nothing to do with the crime, okay, that the person is actually being accused for. You ask me a question, did you kill XYZ person? At the same point of time, at the next point of time, you're asking me a question, have you ever tried to harm someone? Now, the harm can be of anything: physical harm, psychological harm, mental harm, verbal harm, anything. It can be of different types. So basically, the question designing should also be, a one such triggering factor, as I said in the beginning of the session as well. Control question. Now, what is the control question? They are interspread among the relevant and irrelevant question. They do not directly relate to the crime under the investigation, but to a similar situation in which the answer may have the feeling of concerns with respect to its truthfulness or accuracy. As I have given you the example that did you kill XYZ person with a knife? That is a straightforward targeted question. Did you ever try to harm someone physically or mentally? You have killed someone, that itself is a harm. But have you ever tried to kill? Have you ever tried to harm someone physically or mentally? That is also one such triggering question, and we can assess those responses in the polygraphy system as well. Okay. Next comes your peak of tension questions. It is framed that some of the important details of the offense in the question are not known to the subject. Can I get a second, because I need to charge my laptop? So sorry about it. Yeah. Peak of tension questions. Let's say if I have committed a crime with a knife and you're asking me a question related to some other alternative stimuli. Okay. I was expecting a question that you're going to ask me that did you kill this person with a knife? But in turn, what did you do? You're asking me a question with respect to did you kill this person with a gun? Though in reality, I have killed a person with the help of a knife, not a gun. So there itself, that cognitive load also generates in the peak of tension questions as well. Basically, these are the basic uh, set of questions that needs to be framed. But the most important part that you need to understand is that, once you start designing the stimulus, that is the questionnaire, no matter if it is relevant or irrelevant or control or any other question, your words should be, triggering in such a manner that, you can expect some sort of physiological responses from the subject itself. Okay. So these are the questions I was about to talk. Okay. Testing procedure. See, this testing procedure is not only applicable to the polygraphy, but every tools and techniques that we administer in the forensic psychology investigation setup. First, it's the pre-test. As I said, whenever a case comes to us and the subject comes, it's not a way straight away we'll send the person to the testing room. No, first we need to develop a rapport. Even before that, we need to have a one-to-one conversation with the investigating officer. Then you start a conversation with the subject. Okay, on the basis of the information that you have gathered from the investigating officer and from the subject. Okay, on the basis of those set of information, what you're going to do, you're going to frame the questionnaire. Okay, what you're going to do, you're going to frame the questionnaire, and that is what the actual test. That means you are actually about to run the polygraphy test. So pre-test, one-to-one conversation with the IO followed by the subject. Then afterwards, followed by the actual test, you are actually running the testing procedure, followed by the post-test. Post-test means whatever the set of findings that you have got in your actual test, you're going to cross-validate it, okay, by doing again a forensic interview setup questionnaire based. Okay, so as you can see, all the three tests are interrelated to each other. Okay, so whenever we do the analysis, so this is how you do the analysis, and every set of graphs, some certain sort of tagging is already been made. Okay, we code as relevant one. That means on this relevant one, there is a there is a spike on the physiological responses. It's a very simple concept. More the spike, more the higher the physiological arousal, and more the chances are there the person is going to be, the person is giving us a deceptive response. Okay. So guys, I hope the polygraphy is clear to you all. If you guys have any questions related to polygraphy, you can ask me. Then I'll switch to the narco analysis test, which is one of the important tests again in the polygraphy, in the forensic psychological investigating setup. I think I should proceed with the narco analysis test, right? Sure, thank you. Just to give a quick introduction about the narco analysis test, even if you guys have heard about, in a very layman terms, it is a kind of a psychotropic drug which is being injected inside the subject's body, and the person is completely being sedated by using certain kind of drugs, and your central nervous system, okay, CNS, is been targeted, specifically your brain, and the person is under a state of semi-consciousness state of mind. That means the moment the drug is being injected inside the body, now the person is completely in a semi-consciousness state of mind, though he can talk to you but not in a proper manner. So the narco analysis is basically been derived from a Greek word called it as narco, okay, which means basically anesthesia. Anesthesia, you might have heard, whenever there is a major surgery which is to be which is to be occur, there is a certain kind of a drug is actually being given to it. Okay, a little bit of history about the narco analysis test. It was been coined by Horsley, one of the individual, and it was been brought into the existence in the year 1992. Okay, so what happened in 1992 was, I'll just share you a short story. A Texas obstetrician. Okay, obstetrician is basically a person who is giving you the psychological rehabilitation services to a pregnant woman. So basically a Texas obstetrician by person name called it as a Robert House. He uses a drug, scopolamine. Scopolamine is basically a one such kind of a psychotropic drug, and what he did, he injected those drugs inside the body of those two prisoners who were actually being accused for a crime. He then randomly started asking questions related to the crime that both of them were accused, and they straight away delivered all the informations, okay, related to the crime, and he confessed immediately that these were the two people who have actually committed the crime. So it was the first time when in 1992 when the narco analysis setup was being made and the investigation was being carried out. Later on in the 1940s, the narco analysis test got widely explored. Okay, so there are even other names of narco analysis test: truth serum, drug hypnosis. Okay, why we are calling it as a drug hypnosis? Because you're making a person hypnotic, semi-conscious, and you're injecting because you're injecting some kind of psychotropic drug. Okay, truth serum. We say that the moment the drug has been injected inside the body, the person starts speaking the truth. And a narco interview technique. A technique used in the field of forensic psychology for the investigating approach. Yes, it is one such kind of a technique. We need to conduct it. Principles of narco analysis. See, it's a very obvious thing. Whenever we are in a state of consciousness, we try to make up a story and we just present it. But what will happen? We are under a state of semi-consciousness. The tendency of imagining or making up of the story is completely been nullified. So that concept has been justified in this particular PPT. I'll just quickly read it out for you guys. In narcoanalysis test, individual imagination has been completely been neutralized by making him or her semi-conscious, because by using the imagination, a person is able to lie. That's what I have justified. In this state, it becomes difficult to lie the moment you reach to the semi-consciousness state of mind, and would be restricted to the facts that he or she is already been aware of. That means now you are actually been restricted to the particular set of crime that you are actually been accused for. Along with the efforts are being made to obtain the probative truth about the crime, reduces the individual ability to draft a lie by creating a stage of unawareness for the individual who has been induced with such drug. State of unawareness means the moment I've reached to the semi-consciousness state of mind, now I'm completely unaware what exactly is happening to me, but there is only a 1% remote chance that now I'm going to give you a straightforward answer with respect to the crime that I'm actually being accused for. So in totality, whenever you talk about narcoanalysis test, it's the nullification of the imagine or making up the story of the individual is completely been restricted. And how? Because of the nature of the psychotropic drug, and who straight away targets your brain system. Okay. Procedural wise, again, it is very similar to the polygraphy. As I said, no matter whatever the set of tests you do, every test will have three phases of interviews: pre, actual, and post. In pre-test interview, it's the same just like the narco, followed by in the actual test, there are two set of stages that we conduct the narco analysis test. The first stage is basically we call it as a pre-narcotic state, where the person is, where the a medical expert anesthetist, okay, gives the drug to the subject, and drug is injected till the person is appeared to be relaxed and a good state of contact. That means once there's a specific amount of dosage of drug is been given to it. First thing, intake of the drug. There is a specific amount of dosage which has been decided as per the standard procedure protocol. Okay, so the most important part is that the drug which is being given, it can be either sodium pentothal, which has been written in my slide. There is also one psychotropic drug nowadays which is actually been used, and it is called it as sodium amytal, which has been injected inside the antecubital vein. Antecubital vein is this. Those who have given the those who have donated the blood, so they might know about what this antecubital vein. It can be placed over here or over here, the syringe. Okay. So once you have established the pre-narcotic state, followed by the semi-narcotic state, in this stage, the individual appears to be slowing and slurred speech. That means, though I can communicate with you, okay, if I'm undergoing a narco-analysis test, but not in a proper manner. Okay, followed by post-test interview. Individual is allowed to know what exactly he has spoken during the narco interview. That means, let's say today you conducted a narco analysis test on me, a 1 day gap, or let's say the next day, what you're going to conduct is the post-test interview. Okay, that means the first question that you're going to ask to the subject, do you able to remember what you have said during your narco interview? And most of the chances the person says, no, I don't remember anything. Let's say during the narco interview, which was been conducted, the actual test, I revealed that I have committed the crime. And in the post test, you're going to ask me the question that these were the statements that you have given in the narco analysis test. Now, what is your justification? See, the main intent of doing a post test interview is taking out the confession from the subject on the basis of the findings that you have got in the actual test. Okay, it's applicable in all the tools and techniques that we use in the forensic psychology setup. Okay, so pre-test, actual test, the narco-analysis test, which has been divided in two different phases: pre-narcotic and semi-narcotic. Okay, and followed by the post-test interview. Make sure you drop down your queries, anything you have to ask related to narco. Then I'll switch to the next technology, that is brain electrical oscillation signature profiling, called it as BEOS profile.
My question is, anyone can do the yeah, narco test, or it's for what is the rules for India to using the narco test, and how the court is accept or not?
So basically, even the forensic psychologist expert is only asking the question with respect to the crime that the person is actually been accused for. Whenever we are conducting a narco analysis test, we do require a proper set of team, which includes the set of medical experts, okay? Because we don't have the rights to, provide the anesthesia to the subject, because whom we are dealing with the live human subject, first thing. So we need a medical expert followed by a forensic psychologist. The only role of forensic psychologist during narco analysis test is to have a one-to-one conversation. That's it. Plus, we need a technician who will be recording the entire narco interview, because the digital evidence has also been submitted in the court of law. Most important part, we need a writer as well, because as I said, slow and slurred speech, correct? So that slow and slurred speech needs to be written down by the writer itself. So whenever the narco analysis test has been conducted, what exactly happens is, there is like a 3 to 4 set of peoples are present during the narco analysis test, which includes the doctors as well. Okay. Yes, someone has raised their hand. What is your question?
My question is, I think there has been a lot of scope of manipulating the result in narco
Hmm.
test. I mean,
True.
that is why the narco test result is not an admissible evidence in the court of law. See, I can push a certain amount of drug into you, and if I rated it as in the Jolly LLB 2 movie, we can see that the person, the examiner, is telling that the advocate told you to do this, and he actually told the same line. So it can be manipulated. So what can be the basis or ground of actually testifying a person's mental state, and what the term you have used, that it is a truth
Hmm.
serum. So
See,
how it is a truth serum when it can be manipulated?
fair enough. See, it's the other name that we called it as a truth serum. But the first thing, whenever we case comes to us for a narco test, we do not do the narco analysis test. Along with the narco analysis test, we prefer to do a polygraph, or let's say the next test that I'm going to discuss is the brain electrical oscillation signature profile. Reason being, let's say in the narco analysis test, I reveal that I have committed the crime. But the court of law says that, the confession should be taken when the person is under a full consciousness state of mind.
Exactly. The
Remember one thing,
subconscious statements
narco
are not.
analysis, narco analysis is not the confession, it's the revelation of the hidden information. And that revelation of the hidden information needs to be further testified or
Backed
justified
by evidence.
by
Yes.
using some other backup test, which can be in the form of polygraph or BIOS, which is one I'm going to discuss it right now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
And even in India, court of law does not support narco analysis. Even the court of law saying to conduct a narco analysis test, but we need to have a backup test in the form of polygraph or let's say BIOS. Sometimes the court of law also instruct to conduct all the three tests: narco, polygraphy, and brain mapping, which is BIOS. So the sequence goes on: narco, on the basis of the findings that you have got in the actual test of the narco analysis test, you prepare the questions, you perform the polygraphy test, and on these two findings, you do the probe designing in the BIOS testing procedure as well. So sequence goes like this. Alone narco, it's not justified.
Okay. So the sequential testing serial is that first we do the narco, then we do the polygraph, and then we do the brain mapping.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the next topic that I'm going to discuss about is the brain mapping test. So brain mapping test is a huge terminology under which one of the sub-tests comes under, which is brain electrical oscillation signature profiling. That is a BEOS profiling. Okay. Now, before understanding BEOS, we need to understand about two different terminology, that is knowing and remembrance. Knowing means some basic informations I know and I have that tendency to share those information with you. And remembrance means if you ask me how was my day yesterday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to recall the events that has occurred with me in the yesterday date. Okay, so knowing means sharing of the information that you are well aware of. Remembrance means recall. So BIOS is actually capable of detecting these two, or let's say may have the tendency to differentiate these these two terminologies, knowing and remembrance. See the last paragraph, or let's say the last point of this particular slide. BIOS is a scientific tool which measures the change in the activity of the brain associated with the presence of the knowledge provoked by a probe when the suspect does not have to offer any answer or response. Okay, there's a question. Just a minute. As shown a difference between brain profiling and brain fingerprinting. See, BIOS profiling, how we will be able to make a difference out of this. In BIOS profiling, we present only an auditory stimulus, and we are actually justifying the remembrance, or let's say the recalling ability of that individual. Okay. While we are talking about from the brain fingerprinting perspective, you are actually presenting the cues of visual stimulus as well as auditory stimulus, but you are actually justifying the level of familiarity. So through brain fingerprinting, you are justifying how much familiar with the stimulus you are, but through BIOS profiling system, you are actually justifying how much, what should I say, how much you are able to remember the sequencing of statement which has been present in front of you. That means BIOS, you don't have to give a verbal response just like polygraph or not. What you need to do is you need to keep your eyes closed. You need to listen to the set of probes, and that's it. It's your brain who will respond to each and every set of stimulus. So the beauty of this technology is there is nothing to give a verbal response. There is nothing a verbal participation is being considered. Something that we Indians need to be proud of is basically BIOS is an indigenous tools, a technology which was been developed in India. And you can see the person who is a living legend, Professor Dr. C.R. Mukundan. He is the one who has actually designed this particular technology. His main concept was, brain response is something which is involuntary and it cannot be manipulated. For example, most of the times I give this common examples to each and every one. If I say don't think about a peacock, what is the first thing your brain will do? It will start imagining, it will start thinking about a peacock. So brain response is what? It is something which is involuntary in function. So that involuntary function was actually been inculcated to a machine, and the BIOS came into the existence, and we are actually using it for the major criminal investigation cases as well. Okay, I'm not going to going deep into the depth of historical approach of BIOS. Straight away, we'll jump up into the objective of BIOS profile. The technique is based on the principles of encoding, storage, and retrieval of the memory. Whatever the set of information that I have related with today's talk, it has been stored inside my brain, and what I'm doing it, I'm retrieving it out and I'm giving a lecture onto it. So storage, right? Encoding means something that you are actually having a set of, awareness. I know that what is BIOS is all about and how it functions. I'm not going to mix the explanation of BIOS with narco. No, I'm not going to do that. So I have that state of awareness, right? So every set of information is being stored inside your brain. You need to retrieve and you need to have a proper set of awareness. So awareness, retrieval, storage, everything. That means encoding, storage, retrieval, everything. These are the three major components of memory system has. And in these three major components of memory system, BIOS is detecting those set of design stimulus to exonerate the innocent person who may be suspected to have been involved into the crime. It's applicable to all the techniques, say polygraph, narco, or even the BIOS. It helps you to eliminate the innocent one. Yes, Tamanna.
Sir, It's a gentle reminder. We have 15 minutes left.
15.
Yes.
Sure. I'll just quickly, because these are the three major tools that I'm going to discuss, and then I'll wrap up quickly as much as possible.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. So to eliminate the innocent person, first thing, to identify the individual who are the perpetrators to the crime with certainty, most important part, it helps you to identify the person who is having a conceptual knowledge or the experiential knowledge. Conceptual knowledge means I have seen someone committing the crime, but I haven't actually committed the crime. But the other person has the experiential knowledge of taking out a knife and stabbing someone. That is the experiential knowledge. And the conceptual knowledge, that means something that I am witnessing it. Okay, so that is the basic difference between the conceptual knowledge and the experiential knowledge. So that is what BIOS is capable of detecting it as well. As far as methodology is concerned, okay, very important part, all the three tests, polygraph, narco, and BIOS, consent of the court, consent from the court order, the person has to give the consent in front of the court, and even the person is coming to the laboratory, he or she has to give the consent. Without the consent, you cannot run the test, most important part. Plus interview with the investigating officer, interview with the subject, correct? Interview with the investigating officer as well as interview with the subject. The same thing is applicable for the previous two techniques as well. As I said, in polygraphy or narco, there is a set, we design the question, we ask the question, but in BIOS, the beauty of this technology is you don't design the questions, rather than you design the statement. If I'm asking a question in polygraphy, did you carry a gun with yourself? But in BIOS, there is not a question, rather than there is a statement. Did you carry a gun with yourself? Sorry, I carried a gun with myself. That means if you have the experience of carrying something, that your brain gets activated. As I said, in this particular technology, there is nothing verbal response is actually been engaged. You don't have to say yes or no, nothing. You have to keep your eyes closed, and it's your brain that will respond to each and every stimuli. Okay. Administration is BIOS is been done in two different phases. First is the VASP, which is Visual Auditory Stimulus Program, where we design the entire probes, the statements. And once we finish with the designing part, we straight away jumps into the next section of the BIOS examination, which is NSS, called it as a neurosignature system, where we do the actual BIOS recording. There is simple set of instruction which is to be given to the subject while undergoing the BIOS testing procedure. You need to stay calm. You have to keep your eyes closed. There is nothing to respond to a specific set of probes. No, it's simply that your brain will respond to it. That's it. Remain alert and listen to the probes as the subject will be asked for recall them later on. Inform the examiner if the test needs to be paused, because it's a very obvious thing. You're just sitting quietly, you're keeping your eyes closed. It makes the person uncomfortable. Okay, so it's your right. You can just simply raise your hand in between the test, so we can pause the test as well. You need a break, we can do that as well. Instruction regarding the posture, you have to sit straight, you have to keep your eyes closed, and attentively you have to just listen to the probes as well. Okay, I'm not going to discuss about the probes because I have less time, but yes, I'm going to provide an article related to the probes, what exactly it is and how it needs to be designed. Okay, it's like a polygraph, it's like a questionnaire based polygraph, but the only difference is that polygraph is asking a question. In BIOS, you are just simply doing what? You're just simply designing the statement. Most important part. But yeah, there's one report I would like to show you. As you can see over here, there is a graph, right? This graph, this graph is been divided in two different sections. So does our brain as well, right? Brain is actually been divided into two different halves, left hemisphere and right hemisphere. And on the extreme left hand side, you can see the colorful strips. These colorful strips are nothing but it is justifying the experiential knowledge that you have it. Experiential knowledge, what exactly it is. I took a knife and I stab the victim. That means I am having the experience of taking out the knife and stabbing the victim. That is an experiential knowledge. As you can see over here on the left hand side of the graph, it is the overall brain response of one single statement, the graph which is being presented. So left one is for the left hemisphere and the right one is for the right hemisphere. That means your brain is functional. It is functioning in such a manner that it is responding to each and every set of stimuli as well, and how it is and how it is responding it, how it is getting activated. You can see in this particular graph. Okay, so as you can see over here, the subject sits, and on the subject head there is a cap which is being placed. Okay, and you can see over here the examiner is sitting and examining what responses we are getting it while the test was running. Okay, so this is how the setup looks like. So in the previous 3 slides, what we have discussed is about polygraphy, narcoanalysis test, and BEOS, where we do require the consent, court order, which is something mandatory. Without these criteria, forensic psychologist has no right to perform those tests on the person. Okay. But now the next set of tools that I'm going to discuss is all about the screening related part. Screening related part in terms of, even sometimes case comes to us to the FSLs, the forensic science laboratories, and they have a multiple suspects, and out of those multiple suspects we need to identify the potential perpetrator. Layered voice analysis along with emotional diamond is a one such technology which is capable of screening and eliminating out the innocent one. Layered voice analysis is very similar to polygraph, but in terms of interpretation, it is quite different. How? I'll explain it to you. What I said in polygraphy, there's a question being asked, you have to give a verbal response in the form of yes or no. So in totality, there's a verbal response, we are expecting it in the form of yes or no. But in layered voice analysis, what we are exactly expecting is, we are expecting a descriptive answer, plus the most important part, there is nothing kind of a sensors is been attached. There is simply a microphone and that's it. No sensors has been attached on the subject body, just like polygraphy, narco, or BEOS. There is a microphone, at the one end of the system, there is a subject, and at the other end, there is a uh, examiner who is sitting, and you're just having a one-to-one conversation. Simple concept, layered voice analysis is detecting stress through your voice. And it's a very obvious thing. Whenever a person is under a state of stress, that stress is also been reflected in his or her voice also. So does the emotions also. Emotions is of positive and negative. If you're happy, with a lot of positivity, you will deliver some sort of a content. But if you're under a state of stress, you're not at all happy, you are sad, that reflection of emotion through voice can also be assessed in this layered voice analysis as well. Okay. Okay, this is something which is very important that we need to know about, the functionality of layered voice analysis. Whenever a person speaks, he or she extract air from lungs, goes through your vocal cords. Okay, and whenever I'm speaking, if you touch your vocal cords, whenever you're speaking, you feel the vibration on your vocal cords. It's a very obvious thing, right? How you speak through your mouth, and this creates a speech of flow, creating a vocal cord vibration, leading those frequency. Any event is recorded by brain and it has been reflected in voice. What you're actually doing it. I'm asking a question related to a crime that you are actually been accused for. You are thinking and you are giving an answer to it. So this is how the entire procedure of LVA is carried out. Okay. Now, the beauty of this technology is we also do not require the physical presence of the subject. If we have a certain voice sample, okay, we can also do the post-processing. Don't get confused with the voice matching analysis technology or layered voice analysis technology. Both are same. No, both of them are different. Okay. Over here in layered voice analysis, we are just doing what? We are determining the stress level through voice. That's it. First thing. Consent. So over here, we also do require a consent, but it's the individual consent, not the consent which the court of law is approaching it to. Calibration, you need to develop a calibration. So basic set of question being asked to the subject as well. In the first instance, you're not going to straight away start asking the targeting set of question. Okay. Without the calibration, you won't be able to run the test as well. Testing phase of online analysis where the subject is physically present. Okay. And you're doing the testing. As well as what I said, we do not require the what? The physical presence of the subject. Sometimes we share the voice notes on WhatsApp also. So that even that particular set of segments can also be analyzed through layered voice analysis. Okay. As far as the restrictions of questions or talking is concerned, no, there is no as such restrictions. Okay. You keep on talking as much as you can. Okay. And it's the technology that will do the rest. Okay. So this is how the setup looks like, as you can see over here. Okay. So at the one end, the examiner sits, and at the other end, it's the subject who sits. The next technology that I'm going to discuss about is the suspect detection system, again, which is very similar to polygraph, and sometimes we call this technology as a miniature version of polygraph. Once again is this is one such screening tool we have it. Okay, it works like a polygraph. It assesses only one physiological response, that is galvanic skin response. That means the level of sweat. Okay, but it works on two different modes. Now, what are those two different modes? Investigation, or let's say interrogation, and screening. Screening, as you all know, we have the multiple people, and out of those multiple subjects, we need to identify the potential perpetrator. Okay. Investigation, interrogation, what we actually do, we have one particular suspect, but we need to identify the exact intent of the crime that the person who has how the person who has committed the crime. So it's the intent that you can justify it to SDS, or let's say suspect detection system. Remember one thing: on the basis of suspect detection system, on the basis of layered voice analysis, you cannot give a final report to the court of law, because it is giving you an indication that the person may or may not have committed the crime. If the person may have committed the crime, you need to validate through BEOS or polygraph. As I said, no, even in narco analysis test, you are extracting the information from the subject under a state of semi-consciousness that needs to be further validated through polygraph or BEOS. The same thing goes with this also. Though the person is under a consciousness state of mind, layered voice analysis, suspect detection system is what? It is a screening tool. It is giving you a hint. Let's say we are a group of 5 people. Out of those group of 5 people, 4 are came as a non-suspected in suspect detection system, but 1 is coming as a suspect. But you need to further validate this, how this person is coming as a suspected. Okay, so that is the beauty of this technology. This technology, as I said, it's the miniature version of polygraph. Apart from forensic psychology investigation, even in the border security forces, this particular technology is also being used for the screening related purpose as well. As mentioned, the facial coding, or let's say the micro expression. Okay, it's a very obvious thing. We say that your action speaks louder than your voice, right? When we talk about the micro expression, it is all about the observational study that comes into the existence. But in today's scenario, we need to have a certain set of technology with us in order to study micro expression as well. And today, this is what I'm going to discuss with all of you. Okay, you might be familiar with certain universal, what should I say, facial expression. When you are surprised, this is how you looks like. This is how the person looks like. We all look like. When you are under a state of fear, this is how the facial expression looks like. You are under a state of disgust. This is how it looks like. You are under a state of anger. This is how the individual looks like. Okay, the characteristics has been given there. I'll share it with you all. Happiness, but happiness can also be faked. Okay, see, both the photos look very similar, right? A person with a real smile or a fake smile. See, when you are giving a real smile, there is kind of a terminology, we called it as in our micro expression field, we called it as a crow's feet. If your smile is genuine, okay, their crow feet on the corner of the eyelids, it's not going to show. Okay, abhi the moment we are actually observing it, we won't be able to see the crow's feet also in the real smile as well. But in fake smile, there is a crow's feet, what we called it as, being developed on the corner of the eyelids, but that is to be determined through a scientific technology. Okay. Sadness. This is the hardest micro expression to fake. And contempt. See, sometimes we chat in a WhatsApp. We, rather than delivering it, giving a long justification answer, we simply give what? Emojis. So through this universal, 7 universal facial expressions, even the emojis was the ideas of emojis, I personally feel like came into the existence in the WhatsApp technology as well. Okay. This is what the setup looks like. Okay. There is a camera, a highly AI based resolutive camera is been aligned at the overall face of the subject. And once you start asking the question, within the microseconds, the facial expression analysis can be done. First thing. This technology works on 3 different sections. First, it's the behavior, followed by emotions and the facial expression. Emotion itself is of positive and negative types. So what exactly happens? You can also do the bifurcations of emotion through facial expression analysis. Another tool we are going to talk about is the visual stress analysis, a technology which is very similar to layered voice analysis, but the only difference is that layered voice analysis was detecting stress through voice. Visual stress analyzing machine is actually detecting stress through your facial expression. That means your stressful facial responses has been recorded through a highly AI based resolutive camera. It's the facial muscles blood flow which is actually been studied. So do not ever get confused with the micro expression and visual stress analysis. Micro expression is covering your whole entire face, but the visual stress analysis is only recording your facial expression underneath the nose. Again, if you're under a state of stress, your facial muscles also get stretched and is up. So that stretching of facial muscles has been recorded through visual stress analysis. Once you finish the recording, this is how the graphs look like. More the color, the variations, more the chances are there, the deception is going to show. Plus, if you want to make your investigation more reliable, okay, what you can do is layered voice analysis and visual stress analysis. You can compile both the technology. Why? Because there is no sensors is been attached. Okay, so there is no as such sensors has been attached, so you can compile both, and it's the protocol, the entire protocol is the same. Okay, you need to have a one-to-one descriptive conversation that you can carry out. As I said, in today's era, polygraphy is considered as one of the most valuable tool in the forensic psychology setup, along with the brain mapping test as well. But nowadays we also have the advanced polygraphy tool as well. We called it as I detect with polygraph. Administration wise, everything, it is very similar to polygraph, but the only one thing that we are actually added on is it's the eye tracking sensor. Let's say if I have committed a crime and the question appears onto the screen, okay, that did you kill this person? I voluntarily answered no to that. But the moment I saw that particular question, I was very familiar to that question. What will happen? My pupil starts dilating, and it is going to dilate at a very higher rate. though I'm giving you a wrongful answer voluntarily, but I moment, which is involuntary in function, give you the contradicting answer, and there itself I'll be caught. Okay, so that is what eye detection with polygraph is all about. You can see the setup over here. You can see the headphone. Along with the headphone, there is a chin rest, and along with the laptop, there is one infrared camera being attached where the entire eye tracking sensors is being analyzed. And you can see at the left hand side what is present. There's a tablet. So within real time, the examiner is going to assess. Okay, in this particular question, we are getting a contradicting answer as well. So this brings to an end by quickly wrapping up with the legal perspective of forensic psychology in India. As I said in the beginning, whenever we talk about forensic psychology, we are actually talking about from its evidential importance perspective. We consider this field and technology as a corroborative evidences. Tools like visual stress analysis, layered voice analysis, suspect detection system, eye motion, or let's say the micro expression visual stress analyzer, these are just considered to be as a one such screening tool to give you indications. Again, you need to validate through a certain polygraphy or a brain mapping technology. Plus, from the corroboratory in nature, those pre-existing fact needs to be supported by certain scientific application based on the findings. Further cross investigation needs to be done by the investigating agency until the person accepts in a state of consciousness manner that he has committed the crime in front of the court of law, and judge claims this person as a guilty or let's say innocent. Okay, so these are the legal perspectives. So remember one thing, psychological investigation comes under the category of corroborative evidence. Last but not the least, it is essential to tell the truth all the times because this will reduce individuals life pain, because telling a lie distorts the reality. And when it comes to the forensic psychology investigation, no matter if you're speaking or not, you know there are certain tools and techniques with we may able to identify whether your involvement is there or not, which was given by one of the individual named John Bradshaw. So this wraps up to my session. Okay, thank you so much. I know I have taken an extra time, but anyway, thank you so much for the opportunity. But there are certain questions. Aparna, you can proceed.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Sir, so can we use like combinedly eye detector and micro expression together?
No, 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 no. You can't do that
Yeah.
because for that we need to have a proper setup.
Okay, so
Okay.
we have to use it separately.
First, it is always suggestible you use the first do the micro expression analysis based on the
Mm-hmm.
findings. You can then design the questionnaire protocol on the eye detect setup as well.
Okay, and so apart from the criminal profiling, if we use it for research purposes, so can we present audio and visual uh, behavioral task in the form of
It's better to do
stimuli?
if you're doing a criminal profiling. I got your question. If you're doing a criminal profiling, what exactly you're trying to do is you're actually profiling the psychology of the person. So the
Mm-hmm.
best tool that you can use it for is the micro expression.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, keep those 7 facial expressions into the consideration in the criminal profiling research perspective.
Hmm. Oh, okay. And like apart from criminal profiling, can we generally use some sort of behavioral task or stimuli which
Okay,
includes audio and visual? Like there are some short videos or animated videos that we can show up on the screen and then we detect the micro expression.
you can do that. You can
Okay,
do
and
that within
can it?
real time as well as in post time. Yeah.
Oh, okay, and can it same go for iDetect too?
You may able to validate it,
Mm-hmm.
but for the validation purpose, you can go with an identity.
Oh, okay, okay,
Okay.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Tejas.
Sir, my doubt is if there is no any other evidences left, there is only chance of going for the forensic psychological investigations or what are the polygraphy, the remaining things what you discussed. At that particular instant,
Mm,
will the court accept it as one of the evidences or still the corroborative evidence?
it will see, as what I've said, based on the findings, you will be you will be called in front of the court of law as an expert witness. You will be explaining it. This is what the testing we have conducted, and these are the set of findings we have come across. Okay, but even before that, the investigating agency will also cross investigate till the person reaches to the 100% conclusion. I'll give you a very simple example. The reliability and the validity rates of every tools and techniques, it ranges till 99%. But at the end of the day, the court of law will always pinpoint on that 1% loophole factor, right? So it needs to be further cross investigated till the person says that, I have committed the crime, most importantly, in the consciousness state of mind. Yes, Aparna?
Sir,
Okay.
like in polygraph, we obtain the data in form of graph. So, in micro expression, how will, like, a rough structure, a rough overview that in what form we will get the result and how can we go with analysis?
Yeah. So basically, what you do is, once you start the recording, you will be getting a graph. But once you finish the record, there is a graph. At the
Mm-hmm.
same point of time, there's also a raw data that will come in the form of an Excel sheet. So basically, you need to do the analysis of that raw data, and you need to synchronize that raw data along with your recording. And then afterward, you can prepare a report.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Pravesh. We have to take the question in the last part because another our expert is waiting, and I want to give the special thank to the Pravesh. Everyone is my PhD scholar classmate, and I am very jealous about the Pravesh because he is very expert every tools. But in for Bangladeshi people, I am saying that in Bangladesh, 50 years more than psychology department also established in our country. But if you see, there are no exact level lab. Like in our NFS, only forensic psychology. There are the every tools. Every tools you have the discuss and so. So how much they are rich. So in our country, if I think because 25, 6 students from Bangladesh, they are selling. We are doing that, doing this, but really we are doing nothing. But well, that's why I also respect everyone. But we need to upgrade more and more, and Bangladesh Institute of Forensic Psychology and Sciences. In future, we also take every instrument in future. And first, pray for me that I done my PhD quickly. After completing my PhD, you will everyone get this equipment in our country, in my organization, after completing my PhD. So pray for me and best of luck for our country. And Pravesh will be always with us because he is expert, and I am always jealous with Pravesh, and we are very good friend and everything. Okay, and now I think our next trainer will come, and we'll discuss in the our last session, last first question session. Okay, Tamanna.
And
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pravesh, once again for that insightful and very engaging session. I'm sure we all gained a deeper appreciation for the critical tools used in forensic investigations and how they apply to real world cases. Next up, we have Ms. Deepali Sheshrao Wankhade, Assistant Professor at the School of Behavioral Forensic at NFSU, who will explain how forensic psychology integrates with broader investigative strategies. It will be fascinating to see how collaboration between forensic experts and law enforcement can enhance the effectiveness of investigations. Let's welcome Ms. Deepali. Thank you.
Yeah, am I audible? Can you all see me? Yeah. Yeah. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Tamanna, for introducing me. And yeah, it is really an interesting workshop, and I'm really grateful to have an opportunity for this. And yeah, you all have learned about different tools that sir was talking about that are a part of investigation, and you're talking about forensic psychology. It is very important to understand all these tools when it comes to understanding investigation and when it comes to applying psychology in terms of criminal law and in terms of court of law. So talking about that crimes occurs in our society and what type of different types of crime are occurring in our society. So we all know that at last either there will be a conviction or either there will be an acquittal. But what happens in between and how the procedure happens when it comes to voice is not clear. Okay, is it clear now? Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, what happens in between, and when it comes to criminals and offenders who will commit crime, so what procedure takes place, and how do the investigation takes place, and what all factors are important when it comes to understanding the investigation part. So, being in this forensic field, it is really important to understand the investigation as well as the judicial process. So, after all, when it comes to an expert to explain whatever he has analyzed and whatever he has studied during the testing procedure and during the investigation procedure, what exactly he has completed and what exactly he has analyzed, is have to give his expert testimony in court of law. So before giving that expert testimony, the investigation and the procedure of investigation has to be done in a certain manner which is required. And if it is not done in certain manner, then definitely there will be flaw in the process itself. So it will become very difficult for the innocent to get justice. Right. So for having the good and a strong process of the investigation, it is important to have from judiciary also to have a strong and to have a very firm procedure to be followed. Right. So basically, we are going to understand the judicial and the investigation process in this coming top of mind. So, are you all able to see my screen? Just a second, I'll share this way. Is it visible?
Not yet, ma'am. Now visible, yes.
Okay, great. Can you all see it if it is changing or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Changing, right? Yeah. So yeah, criminal investigation and criminal law. So this is the topic of now. So basically, what we are going to study about criminal law is now what is criminal law? Why it is important to have a criminal law? So it is very necessary when it comes to punishing the offender, punishing the real culprit of a crime. So it is very necessary to understand the law, and it is very necessary to understand the judicial process. So criminal law, it is nothing but a set of law and a set of rules that has been defined in criminal law that is relating to the crime. So what is crime basically? It is nothing but an act that is a violation, right? So violation of the rules and regulations that is being committed by an offender. So that's nothing but a crime. So anything that is having a set of laws, it's said to be a criminal law, which again applies uniformly to all the persons living under the political authorities as well as substantive law. So now talking about the substantive law, why the substantive law? Because it is defining the different crimes that are occurring in a society. So how do we define crime? What type of crime is theft? Or what is the crime? Or what type of act is a theft? So there should be a proper definition. If there is no definition, we cannot label or we cannot just connote that this is a type of or this is a particular type of crime. So you really need to understand, and you really need to have an understanding of what is defined in that particular law. Right. Again, it differs. The criminal law again differs from the civil law. So civil law basically deals with all the family and property related matters, as well as the child custody and the disputed cases. Right. So that is something which is very much different from criminal law. Talking about specifically about criminal law, it's all about taking care of crimes and related to it. Now, what is the objective of criminal law? Why do we need to have a criminal law? Again, it is something which will have and to maintain the order and to maintain basically to maintain the law and order in the society. as well as to protect life and liberty of people. So so everybody is being equally treated when it comes to dealing with judiciary and dealing with the judicial process. So nobody is having any sort of the person who has committed murder. So two people committing murder will be getting equally treated by law. It is not that the person who is superior or the person who is inferior is getting treatment accordingly. So everybody is getting equally treated. So that is something that the law bides to everyone, as well as the penal law cannot afford to be weak, ambiguous, and ineffective. So it is very important to have a strong and an effective law, as well as the effective rules for the criminal and for the accused who is a part of criminal, so that accordingly the innocent will get justice, as well as the application of criminal law should be uniform regardless to any discrimination with respect to class, caste, religion, sex, creed, etc. So no matter what the background of the particular accused or the victim is, they should be equally treated by the law. Right. So talking about the Indian Constitution, also we need to also understand the human rights, and we need to understand the basic rights that are again necessary to be followed and necessary to be taken care of. Anybody violating the basic rights, basic fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution is supposed to be going to jail, right? Because they are substantively they are trying to violate the rules, violating the basic fundamental rights. Right. So there should not be any sort of discrimination pertaining to criminal law. Right. So now coming to the classification part, again it is very important to understand how it has been defined and how it has been now applied. Right. So Indian criminal law is again divided into two parts. That is the general principle of criminal liability, that who is liable for any sort of criminal act. So what is a criminal liability? You need to define it. So definition of any sort of crime is very much important, right? Once it has been defined, then only you can apply it, right? So criminal procedure for preventing crime and promoting justice. So very important again is to have a conquer definition of any sort of crime. Once you have a definition for a particular crime, then only you can apply it. Okay, and also the punishment should be defined. So it's not that only the crime is defined and there is no punishment defined for that particular crime. So yes, there's a requirement to have a procedure to be followed from the judiciary and to be followed for the investigation as well. So there is a defined procedure as well, which then gets applied in the investigation. Okay. So what are the other acts that are the part of criminal law? First one is the Indian Penal Code, which is again now been replaced by the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So that got applied from this year itself, July. Okay. So there are certain amendments in the new law where certain crimes have been added, as well as it has become very strict towards the children and towards women, where anybody committing crime against them will get rigorous punishment, as well as the Code of Criminal Procedure, where the procedure, it's a procedural law where the process is being defined, the procedure is being defined under which for different sorts of crime, and the process of investigation is being defined. So it has also been replaced by the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. And after that is the another act that has been followed, which was the Indian Evidence Act 1872, which now got replaced with the Bharatiya Sakshya Sanhita. Right. So having Indian Evidence Act, you will get to understand the judicial process from the forensic perspective. Okay. So now what are the classes of criminal codes? So talking about the different classes of criminal codes, so it's something that the first you will always need to approach to the lower court to the higher court, right? So there is a hierarchy that will be followed. So first will be the judicial first class magistrate. Now he can give a punishment only till 3 years and or fine of rupees 10,000. Okay. Next, the hierarchy, next will get followed by the chief judicial magistrates, who can give any sentence except death, death or life, and also that gets exceeding to the 7 years of imprisonment. Right. So after that gets followed by the High Court and then the Supreme Court, which can definitely give any sort of sentence. So talking about the classes of criminal code, so it is very important to follow the and also it depends upon the nature of crime, what exactly the crime has occurred, and accordingly the case will go to the respective court for the further proceeding, right? So talking about the High Court and Supreme Court, yes, they have the highest amount of the highest amount of injury that has occurred to the innocent will definitely approaching the High Court and for the Supreme Court. Okay, according if he is not satisfied with the chief judicial magistrate's conviction, the judgment given by them. Okay, whether it is conviction or whether it is acquittal, if they are not satisfied, definitely they can appeal to High Court as well as to the Supreme Court, and accordingly then the judgment will come by the Supreme Court or the High Court. Now, what are the basic concepts that are very much necessary to understand in terms of understanding the judicial as well as the investigation process? So, very important is to understand any sort of crime, whether it is bailable or whether it is non-bailable offense. Now, what is bailable offense? Where there's a the bail can be granted. Okay. So the police can grant bail in the former, whereas if it is a non-bailable offense, then definitely there won't be any bail granted by the police officer. So what type of crime, what are the type of crimes where you will find the bail given? So those sort of crimes which are not so serious in nature. So in those type of crime, the bail will be granted by the police officer. And those types of crime where the accused is being charged for a very serious kind of nature, right? Like for example, murder, rape. Okay, in such case, sexual assaults. In such cases, he won't be granted any sort of bail, and also he cannot apply for it. Even if he is applying for the bail, he won't be granted for that particular bail. Now, another concept would be the cognizable versus non-cognizable offense. So, where police have the power to arrest in the non-cognizable, in the cognizable offense, basically. So, cognizable offense is the offense where you will be finding and serious nature of crime, whereas non-cognizable offense is something that is not so serious in nature, right? Summon case versus warrant case. Now there are different types also when it comes to case. So either the case will be of summon case where the accused have to be will be called in the court of law. Okay, and warrant case where definitely the person will again be arrested based on the warrant. There will be a warrant against that person. Right, so former less than 2 years of punishment. So in summon case, definitely they will be caught in. They will be called in the court of law for to be present in court of law. Whereas warrant case will be given by is been again registered by police officer while arresting the person. So where the punishment will be less than 2 years of punishment. Then inquiry. What is the inquiry? So again, it has been conducted by a magistrate. Again, who is judicial officer who will be conducting an inquiry where if it is required in a serious nature of crime that has occurred, so he will be inquiring who has committed, what time it has been committed, what is the location, okay, and who is the victim. So everything will be inquired by the magistrate, whereas investigation will be taken place by the police officer. Now, once the FIR is being filed in police station, after that the investigation starts by the police officer. So, investigation is something that has been conducted by police or the authorized person who is been again who can be an magistrate or except magistrate, whoever has been nominated for that particular procedure to be conducted will be conducting the investigation. Judicial proceedings, now these are the court proceedings by judiciary, but examination is again being but examination by police, and it is not a judicial process. Right. So, judicial proceeding is all about the trial procedure, and once the investigation is conducted, after that the proceeding starts in the judicial proceeding. But whatever the examination and investigation is conducting, that is not a part of judicial proceedings. Right. Now, what is an offense? Any act that is punishable by law. Talking about the police report, which is again something that is been prepared by police and then it has been sent to the magistrate. Now, talking about FIR, what is FIR? Basically, it is nothing but a first information report, which is something that whenever the crime has occurred, the person, the complainant, will go to the police station and will inform the police about the crime that has occurred. So they will note all the details about the crime that has occurred. And again, when it comes to FIR, that is the report of information disclosing a cognizable offense, the offense that has occurred and that has a serious nature. Okay, so that offense will be only be getting filed as an FIR. Not every offense will get filed as an FIR. Right, so FIR will get filed in such cases where there is an cognizable offense that has occurred. Again, it is being conducted by a police officer in police station. Then the investigation starts with filing of FIR, that is again registered under section 153 of Criminal Procedural Code. Okay, so filing with FIR starts after the crime has occurred. Okay, and under what section it will be getting registered will be under section 154 of the CRPC. FIR also sets the criminal law into motion. So again, once the FIR has been filed, now the investigation will start. Okay, investigation will not start unless the FIR has been filed. It's not that the crime has occurred, police have come to the to the scene of crime and immediately they'll be starting investigation. It is not something that it happens. Okay, first the FIR should get filed in police station. Once it has been filed, then only it will start into motion. Okay, then only the process will start. That is the investigation process. FIR is mandatory when disclosing the cognizable offense. Okay, if there is no FIR being filed in police station and still if the investigation is getting into the field, so that is something which is not going by the code, by the law, and that's something which is not legal. So that's an illegal process to be started by the investigating officer, and which is not again acceptable in court of law. So there is a procedure to it, which yes, the victim should also be aware of. So if police fails to lodge the FIR file, then you can definitely file a private complaint. Okay. So if they fail to file the FIR. Then after FIR has been filed, now the police have started investigation and they have found, they have collected certain evidences, certain physical evidences. Now what powers do they have while arresting the suspect or while arresting the accused? Okay, arrest is again to be governed by law. So police have been provided with wide powers of arrest, where arrest is again being governed by the law. Where arresting against individual is an encroachment on personal liberty. So you really need to have an understanding of that person getting involved in crime, on what basis you are again arresting that person. Right. So very important is to when you are invading the person's privacy, when you are invading his personal liberty, on what basis? So you need to have a strong proof behind that arrest. Okay, so if police is not able to give the explanation towards the arrest, then definitely there can be a flaw into the investigation, or there can be flaw into his sort of process that is being followed. So the power is discretionary and also to be used with caution. So immediate, if the arrest has to be conducted, then police has that discretion to conduct and to do the arrest without warrant. Okay, without showing the case warrant. So usually it happens that the police, whenever they go for the arrest, they need to have a case warrant with them that they will be showing to the person who they are arresting. Okay, so before arrest, they need to have the case warrant, and if they do not have the case warrant, they cannot arrest it. But again,
Ma'am,
if it is an emergency, yes,
ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Do you intend to change the slides? Some of
yes,
us
yes.
are not seeing the change slides.
Okay, not able to see now.
Yes, yes, can.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Thank you for it. Yes. So arrest. Yeah, I'll start again. So arrest again. There are certain white powers with the police officer while arrested. So arrest is again being governed by by the law basically, and the arresting against law is an encroachment on personal liberty. So if you are arresting a person without having a substantive proof, so something is you yourself as being a police officer committing another crime. So again, it is important to have a proper basic to it, to have a proper understanding on what basis you are arresting the person. Again, the power is discretionary and to be used with caution. So as I mentioned earlier, that police officers should have an arrest warrant in case of a cognizable offense that has committed. If they do not have the case warrant, they do not arrest, they cannot arrest the person basically. So if they want to arrest, they need to have the warrant. And in such cases where an immediate arrest need to be conducted, then definitely that power also they have. So later on they can file for the warrant. And whenever they'll have the case warrant, they need to present it to the individual whom they have arrested and in the court of law as well. So no restraint on a person when not arrested. Okay. So again, it's something that when an individual is not being arrested, meaning that the police officer should not be having the sufficient information, okay, or sufficient proof. Now talking about the investigation, now what basically investigation is. So for investigation, it is under section 156 of Criminal Procedural Code. Police have powers and independent of magistrates' control. What powers some police officers will have under section 156 is to collect evidence by the investigation agency. Again, accused can be arrested during investigation. Magistrate again has no power to stop an investigation. That also comes under section 156 subclause 3 of CRPC. And on investigation, if there is no sufficient evidence released, the accused on bond. So otherwise it will go for the trial. If there is no sufficient evidence found against that individual, he will be released, right? So police, if they really want to arrest an person, they need to have sufficient amount of evidences against that person. Then only they can make the arrest. Otherwise, definitely they can release the accused on bond, and then the accused will be called for the trial proceedings. Okay, in the court of law. Now talking about the production of accused. So accused is again produced. Can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We'll see.
Yeah. Investigation, production of accused. Now, how will they produce accused in court of law? So accused is again being produced in court of law within 24 hours of the offense that has been committed by the accused. Under section 167 of Criminal Procedural Code, magistrate can allow police custody for more time but not more than 15 days for investigation. Again, now your magistrate can only allow for police custody that should also not exceed 15 days for investigation, more than that. Okay, investigation is occurring more if investigation is taking place or taking time that is more than, if it is exceeding more than 15 days, then definitely they cannot hold the accused for that police custody. Right, and it is given under section 167 of CRPC. Now, what is police case diary basically? So police or the case diary that they maintain, police diary, or also it has been called as case diary. So what it basically have is the investigating officer has to keep a case diary in each case to record day-to-day particulars of investigation. Now, why do they need to have maintain this case diary? What is the purpose behind having a case diary? Is whenever the court will ask them to show what record they have maintained throughout the case, or what they have conducted and how they have conducted the investigation, or since when they have started doing investigation. Okay, so each day record they need to maintain to show it in court of law that what all investigation they have conducted. Then also the police diary is to contain proceedings of police officer, but not statements of witnesses. Okay. So again, whatever statements they will be having, so separately they need to maintain those statements which will be given by the witnesses of the crime, and not to be maintained in the police diary itself, because police diary is something which is maintaining their duty nature. Okay, what duty they have been conducting. So their duty is to maintain and to report and to record what they have committed. Okay, during the investigation. Now, police diary is also being used by court when the diary contradicts with the evidence of witness. Right. So again, having a police diary, and if there's a flaw in the investigation, definitely then court will see that those flaws, if anything gets contradicts in the court proceeding, okay, or any sort of evidence gets contradicted, police claims that this was the evidence which was found on crime scene, and witness says that they have never seen such sort of evidence, or never seen such sort of photos, or never seen such sort of scene altogether in the crime scene. Okay, or if they are claiming that this object was found on the crime scene, and the witness says that there was no such object on the crime scene present as much as they remember. So if anything gets contradict, definitely they can prove it in court of law by saying that this is what has been maintained, this is how they have maintained it. So neither the accused nor his agent has to see this diary. Okay. So again, it is very important to make it confidential, to have everything privately mentioned, and to keep it very private. So it should not be disclosed in front of anybody else, not even accused, okay, or not even other police officers. Now again, another concept is to have a police report. Now, once on the completion of investigation ordered by magistrate under section 156, police officer has to send the final report to the magistrate to take cognizance under section 173 subclause 1. So now meaning here is once they have completed the investigation, now if magistrate, the judicial officer, if you ask for the investigation, okay, whatever investigation they have occurred, now the magistrate want to see the investigation report. Definitely he will call for that report and he will ask for that report. And police will have to then submit the final report to the magistrate, so that the magistrate, so that the judicial officer will take that case ahead. Okay, so before taking that case ahead, he need to have the final report, which is again made by the police officer, which is called as a police report. Another report should also include the steps of proceedings to the spot investigating the facts and circumstances. Okay, that measures the discovery of facts or materials, or arrest of accused, searching and seizing, the examining witnesses, etc. So that police report will be containing all the facts and materials relating to the investigation. So whatever investigation, whatever they are conducting, and whatever evidences they have searched for, or whatever items have been seized by them, okay, they need to maintain it in the police report. Okay, and also whoever is the witness, or they are searching for, or maybe they have seized, they need to produce it in the police report. Okay, so that the magistrate will have an idea. Then the distinction Yeah. Distinction between inquiry and investigation. What is inquiry? Basically, again, it is been done by the magistrate, who is the judicial officer. So it is the object of inquiry is to find the truth or falsity of any sort of present in the case. And also inquiry can be also conducted by the judicial or as well as non-judicial. But usually the inquiry is being conducted by a magistrate to understand the case and to understand the other facts and circumstances of the case. Now talking about, and also when it comes to inquiry, it is something can be conducted in the cases which are non-cognizable offences, right? Whereas cognizable offences will be only needing investigation and not only inquiry, right? So investigation is always conducted by police officer and or a person who is been again authorized by the magistrate. Now, what is the purpose of conducting investigation? Is to collect evidences and all facts of the case. So investigation is non-judicial process. So it has nothing to do with judiciary. Okay. So it is all bound with the police officer and to the police people. So now, what are the documents that are provided to be accused? So here are certain documents that have been provided to accused. So the police report will be provided to accused if asked. FIR will be provided to accused if asked. Then the copy of statement, the statement given by him in the police station, that will be under section 161 of CRPC. Then the confessions and statements under section 164 of CRPC, and if there is any other document forwarded to the magistrate with the police report can be provided to the accused if asked by the lawyer of the accused. Okay. Now, bail application. What bail application basically is? Bail application is nothing. Bail application is something that is again being heard will be heard by the court. Okay, and bail application in what type of cases you can definitely plea for bail is the non-cognizable offense. If there's a cognizable offense committed by an accused, definitely he is not getting the bail because he has committed a serious crime. Okay, serious nature of crime. Now the difference between complaint and FIR. Are you able to see my slide? I've changed the slide. Are you able to see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Difference. Now, what is the difference between complaint and FIR? Now, both things are different. So, complaint is something that is being given in front of magistrate. Complaint is an allegation before magistrate and not before police. Okay, so before magistrate, you are complaining about something that has occurred with you, right? So it is only an aggrieved can file. So the person who has suffered, like I'm a victim of crime, so I am the only person who will be doing that or filing the complaint in front of the magistrate. Okay, and not anybody else on behalf of me can do the or can file for the complaint. Right. So the court can take cognizance of it. So court is responsible if there is any sort of complaint filed by the victim. So court will be taking care of it, and magistrate can also take the cognizance of that particular case and can start proceeding of that particular case. Whereas first information report, as we studied earlier, it is an allegation before a police officer, right? So can be given by any person. Any person who has witnessed the crime can file for the FIR. It could be relatives, it could be a person a third party who has just witnessed the crime, or a victim himself can also file for the FIR. Then police officer will have to take the cognizance of it and will have to start the investigation after filing the FIR. And magistrate has no authority to take the cognizance of the FIR. Okay. Now there's a concept called as police charge sheet. Okay. Now talking about the police charge sheet, they need to have to maintain the charge sheet of throughout the case. Whatever charges are laid on the person who has committed crime, they need to maintain that charge sheet. Okay, now charge is a specific first accusation against a person so as to make him know his offense. He need to understand the person, the accused who has committed crime, need to understand that what he has committed and what nature he has committed, what type of crime he has committed, what is the nature of that particular type of crime that he has committed, right? So it is nothing but a first accusation against that person, right? So as to make him understand that he has committed an offense. Then in a case, if a case is made out, charge sheet filed by a police station. Yeah, so if a case is made out, charge sheet will be filed by the police officer. Now there will be certain statements that will be again recorded by police officer. So those statement part will come under section 164 of CRPC. Now this statement again will be by the accused during investigation, and voluntarily the accused have to give the statement. So they need to record what their side of story is also. So it's not that accused, once they have been arrested, nothing will be asked to them. So no. So once they have been arrested, they need to give their statement as well, which will come under section 164. And that should be voluntary statement. Again, that statement should not be purposely or should not be forcefully taken by the police officer. So accused is again have no bound by law to make a statement. Again, it's up to the accused. It's up to him whether he wants to give any sort of statement or not. If he doesn't feel giving the statement, he can opt for the no option as well. So the statement can be used against the accused. Okay. So whatever statement he is giving, even if he is whatever he is mentioning in the statement, so that statement can go against him as well. If he says that he was wearing so and so type of clothes, but in picture it shows that the offender clearly the picture shows the resemblance of the cloth color, okay, which is opposite to the statement given by the accused. So if it is getting different or if contradicts also, then also the investigation and in the court proceeding it can be explained by the definitely by the prosecution. So it must be signed by the accused, read over to him and admitted as correct. So once the statement is recorded by the police officer, it need to have a signature of the accused, and as well as it need to be read over to him whatever the statement he has been giving, okay, in front of the police officer. Once he says that yes, it is correct, then only you will take the signature of the accused, and then the statement is to be sent to the trial court for the further proceeding. Next is the hearing of charge sheet. So there is an opportunity which will be given to the both prosecution and defense to argue on the charge sheet, that if the prosecution says that yes, the accused have been charged for murder, okay, and defense says no, that is not a murder, okay, that is an attempt to murder. So you need to understand on what basis and on what type of crime the accused has committed, whether the charge appropriates it or not, whether it has been appropriately framed or not. So on that ground, definitely the prosecution and defense lawyer can argue on it. Next, again,
a gentle reminder, we have 10 minutes, please.
10 minutes. Yeah, okay. I'll try to wrap it as soon as first it. Hearing of charge sheet, then definitely there will be an opportunity for both the sides. Then the court can add or alter any charge, okay, that has been framed and that has an output, whether it is acquittal or punishment. Then there will be a discharge of the accused in case prosecution can make out no charge of the accused, which will be discharged. Framing of charge: in case sound reasons of crime exist, charge against the accused will be framed, right? Then there will be a conviction of plea guilty. So if pleads guilty, the accused will be punished at court's discretion and be based on the circumstances. Then the statement of accused, where the accused will be allowed to explain his side of story and the circumstances from his side under section 313 of CRPC. Then sessions trial procedure. So public prosecutor will open the case by describing the charge and stating the evidence he relies on. So this is how generally the trial procedure starts. Okay. So public prosecutor starts and opens the case, where on hearing both sides and considering all the records, the judgment may discharge the accused or frame any charges. Okay, based on whatever facts and the circumstances are being heard by the judge. Okay, of the case. Charge sheet will be again read out, and the plea of the accused will be recorded, whether he plead guilty or not. So if accused pleads guilty, the judge may convict him. Otherwise, they will be fixed for the prosecution evidence and issue processes. Then taking prosecution evidence, where the judge shall go on to taking evidence of all the witnesses and cross-check that the judge shall examine the accused personally. So on hearing both sides, if there is no evidence, the accused will be acquitted. Right? So otherwise, he will be allowed to enter upon his defense. So this is how the prosecution starts with the case. Whereas taking defense evidence up to talking from the judge side, again taking the prosecution and taking the defense evidence. So when it comes to the taking defense evidence, the judge shall record the defense evidence, whereas thereafter the public prosecutor will sum up the case, and the defense pleader then will give reply to whatever the public prosecutor sums up the case. And accordingly, the public prosecutor will counter reply to the legal part of the case. Now, mode of taking evidence, how the evidence has been taken, it is always in the presence of accused and allow every opportunity to defend him. So, when the taking evidence is, it shall be recorded. Then read the contents to the witness, and in case of any clarification required to the magistrate, can alter the record after making any memorandum or any such alterations. Right. So after that, obtain the signature of the witness in some cases, but in one case, magistrate has to sign for it. Right. So that is how the evidence is being taken. Now there will be a judgment under section 353 and 354 of CRPC. Now, what are the factors need to be considered? Adequacy of the sentence, right? Then the nature of offense, the circumstances of the crime, the age and character of the offender, injury to the accused, then the reformation of the offender. So these are the important factors that need to be taken into consideration before giving the judgment. Then judgment should also not be severe, and also it should not be too lenient. Like trial procedures are again divided into different stages. So there are total 4 stages. So first is the opening proceedings. So where the case opens in the trial court, where the court will address the defendant and ask that he or she identify himself or herself. And after opening, then the examination of evidences starts, where the outlines of the facts and basically whatever the evidences have found, whether it proves and it tends to prove guilty or not. And real evidences will be displayed, where testimony of witnesses will be heard, documentary evidence will be read in full or be summarized. Then definitely questioning of defendants, where the defendant will place under questioning first by defense and then by the prosecutor, and then finally by the court of law. Closing argument, where when all the evidences is heard, prosecution and defense counsel will make them closing arguments, where arguments will cover issue of facts, law, and sentencing. Talking about forensic psychology and law, very important is to again understand the intention and behavior, which also have a major focus on of those who plan and carry out the criminal act, why they have committed such crime. Okay, if they have committed any crime, what is the intention behind it, and what was their behavior while committing the crime, right? And also to make understand to make sure, okay, that why the person have committed crime. So questioning that why is very important, and also answering and finding the answer to that why is very important in terms of understanding the fact of the case, and to understanding the severity of the case, and to understanding the consequences of that case. So also it looks into the how legal experts think about the crime and the law, as well as it changes in how mentally ill treated by the criminal justice system. It also plays a role in how the law is applied. Right? So forensic psychology has played a part in understanding all these factors, from why the crime has occurred to how it is now getting applied in court of law in terms of getting justice, and in terms of getting investigated by the police officer. In the courtroom, legal practitioners will require a grasp of defendants' motivations and action in order to make a fair judgment. Also, for the forensic psychology, it is important to understand and to make a criminal profile of the offender, that why and how he has committed the crime. Another important aspect is to understand that we have, and in Indian Evidence Act, there's a concept called as expert opinion, right? So expert opinion is nothing but an opinion given by an expert who has his expertise and who is skilled, who is trained in that particular field. Okay, that comes under section 45. Right, so under section 45, definitely an expert is liable to give his opinion in court of law based on whatever he has analyzed and based on whatever he has studied in the case. Then talking about the legal insanity, definitely when it comes to forensic psychology, you need to understand the insanity ground, where which is the section that talks about the unsoundness of mind, that is the section of 84 of CRPC. So any person who has committed crime and who has not understood the consequences of that crime is something that he can plead for his act, that he is not responsible, saying that he was not having understanding of what he has committed or what he was committing. Right, so the accused was incapable of knowing the nature of act, and the accused was not capable of understanding that what he was doing was either wrong or contrary to the law. So basically, the person was not having what was having stable mind at the time of committing any sort of crime. So he can definitely plead for the insanity. So next concept, very important from the forensic psychological aspect, is the competency to stand trial. Again, it refers to the defendant's ability to understand and rationally participate in legal proceedings and to defend himself. So to defend himself also, we need to, so if I want to really defend myself in court of law, I need to have an understanding of the trial proceeding. Okay. Also, if I unfit for the trial proceeding, definitely a court will not give the conviction, but definitely court will ask to have rehabilitation for that particular illness or any psychological problem. Right, so insanity is something that talks about the state of mind at the time of committing crime, whereas fitness to stand trial is something that talks about the participation in the trial procedure. Also, we talk about the victim participation at trial, where we need to really have to also focus not only to the offender but also to the victim. So now talking from victim's perspective, maybe if we get another chance to discuss, then definitely we'll discuss this as well. So it is not only limited to the offender, but also it is something that you need to understand from the victim's perspective as well. Okay, so thank you all. If any doubt, please ask. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry that I have stressed. And if I have if I have taken your time, so I'm really sorry for that. And if any questions, I would be really happy to take all these questions.
If anyone has any question related workshop forensic psychology, now you can ask. We can take 2, 3 more session question, and we wrap up the today's session. Tamanna, okay. If you don't have the question, then Tamanna give the conclusion.
Okay, all right. So if we have any burning questions, we can always ask on the WhatsApp group or contact us on any of our social media platforms. We welcome questions and clarifications anytime. Let's wrap this up. This was an incredible international workshop on forensic psychology and crime investigation. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for your active participation and enthusiasm. These 2 days have been filled with valuable insights, and I'm sure we are all leaving with a deeper understanding of forensic psychology's crucial role in solving crimes. Today, Mr. Pravesh Charan Isai gave us an insightful session on practical forensic tools, while Ms. Deepali Sheshrao Wankhade walked us through the powerful integration of forensic psychology with broader investigative strategies. And let's not forget yesterday's highlights, where Mohammad Miraz Hussain and Ms. Sweta Sadnandan Topil brought forensic psychology and behavioral analysis to life with real world cases. A special thank you to Mohammad Miraz Hussain, Director of BIFPS, for organizing this workshop and bringing together such an exceptional team of facilitators. I'm sure we could have gone on and on, but we have limited time today. A few important notes before we conclude this session. Certificates will be shared via a Google link, which will be posted in the WhatsApp group shortly. And for any queries, feel free to reach out through WhatsApp group or any of our BIFPS social media platforms. And please do fill in the Google form for the feedback. It's always welcome. We want to make sure our quality is enhanced. And for any urgent queries and clarification, do contact us on the official number as well, which is 01-888-96656. And there is a new workshop coming up in January 2025, which is on body language analysis. The first batch will be conducted in Bengali, and the first 10 people to sign up will get 50% off the full price. The same workshop will be conducted in English soon after, so keep an eye for it too. More details can be found on the WhatsApp group we have already shared with you. And please check if you can access the PowerPoint slides given in the email. And if they don't work out, please do reach out. And lastly,
Okay.
yes.
I add some things in body language analysis, especially for Bengali language. This is the third batch, and our 2 batch also done. And third batch will start in January 2025. It's a 2 month course, and only in the Friday and Saturday class, and January, February. And for English body language analysis course, it will start in November and December 2025, because for English it's take the sometimes for another reason. And first 10 people who is participant this workshop, they will get 50% discount. We will share the WhatsApp group. And another, I also request everyone, because this is our first initial to do international workshop, and our team, everyone scholar, they are doing awesome work. And we will perhaps we will share also this video in our YouTube channel in future. That's making the awareness, because we don't want the we want that knowledge should be increased day by day, and we want more engaged. That's why we also post in future, not within short thing. And who have attend today's class and also fill up the feedback from, and then I will share the certificate within 5-10 minutes. And I request everyone to post your certificate in social media, especially LinkedIn, and mention our institute name, and share your feedback how was learning, because I tried to focus we create the course module, workshop module as like a more applied, not theoretical. That's why especially we have planned give the this kind of review to from you, understand what we do in the future. And that's all for my side. And I want to give the thanks all of my team, executive director, our executive member, our graphics designer, every team. They are working very well. That's why we can conduct this workshop. And especially I give the our thank our facilitator who are doing the very job and also prepare what I give expected from them, and they are giving the more. That's make me more happy. And in Bangladesh, we will starting the document examination, handwriting, analysis, and fingerprint service in our country. We are providing and cyber forensic and digital forensic, we can say. But in day by day, we'll also introduce this every kind of equipment, but it's take the some time. Because it's matter of permission, qualification, and everything. I think you will get the more better in future in Bangladesh. I need everyone help, because if you share in social media, other people will know this, other people will engage this. And if you do the body language analysis course, you will understand the how can other people are telling lie or truth, because we discuss in the last class, and I think you will understand more better than any way, because without talking, if only gesture posture, you will understand the hidden meaning. Okay, that's in from my side, and thank you everyone. Tamanna.
With that being said, we have reached almost to the end. And although today marks the end of the workshop, the connection we've built continues. Let's keep collaborating and promoting forensic psychology and its sciences together. Shall we take a group picture before we leave? Is that okay with everyone? If so, let's turn the videos on for a bit. Thank you so much for turning those videos on. Okay, so let's take that picture together. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Take care and stay connected with BIFPS.